but only the commencement of the newspaper review. And we're joined for now by Paul Grave Boache Dankwa. He is a government's spokesperson on governance and security matters. He joins the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It appears, let me just say this and tease you because we are like that. It appears you are in a comfortable lead when it comes to the Greys. You are in a comfortable lead. Though we operated around the same, I just found out this morning that I graduated from senior secondary school before he did. And I looked at his hair and said, no, this is not a fair reflection of, is it the politics?
Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Is it the politics?
Well, I think it's the level of responsibility that we have equated to ourselves and the service that we want to render to the good people of this country.
Oh, so you think my burdens are lesser than you?
I believe that's so, very much so.
You believe so?
I think so. I think your burdens are lesser.
You know what is funny? When former President Barack Hussein Obama, people often leave out the Hussein for certain reasons, we all know. After taking over the presidency, he was a senator, all right.
Very much.
But when he took over the presidency, after a while, Charlie Opana went all white. Hey.
You sleep less, you work hard, you make multiple decisions. The lives of people are in your hands. The country's future is in your hands. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
I would have said same for the president and his vice, but I don't know. But the former president...
You say that they don't have hair.
No, I'm trying to say that I can't see evidence.
No, you can't see evidence of their grey hair. That's
I can't.
To say.
I can't see evidence.
The evidence of their hard work is seen by the Ghanaian people.
Oh, no, it has not. I'm not saying that, I mean, they've not worked hard, but I'm saying that I can't see it.
No, there's a lot of
But the
work
former president, Mahama, same thing happened to him, you recall.
Because
when he was minister...
He had hair.
When he was minister, and then you look at the transition to vice, and then all of a sudden, Charlie.
Very much.
But it's a funny thing I have observed with politicians over time.
2 years ago, my hair was not like this, and so it keeps growing and growing. I'm sure by the time we enter into our next government of 2025, led by Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, it will be a lot more. People are encouraging me to diet, but I think that I will not.
They're encouraging you to what?
Diet. I will not obstruct. I will not obstruct natural justice of God's blessings over my life.
All right. Well, great to have you here join the conversation this morning. Let's get into the papers. But before we do, we always do something. We give about a minute and a half for our guests to reflect on something. A burning issue. What are you going to be reflecting on this morning?
I'm going to be reflecting on the leadership that the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has brought in the government of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the bold decisions for the next chapter of this country from 2025.
Okay, so if that's it, then we can get into the papers?
Very much so.
Let's start with your stack. Instead of starting from here, let's start with your stack. You have the Daily Guide?
I do. I have the Daily Guide. Otumfuo Lord Bawumia. You are respectful and humble. NDC kicks against free SHS Bill. Gamanche leads Clean Accra campaign. The Daily Guide.
Yeah, so you can get into the stories.
Page 3. Otumfuo Lord Bawumia, you are respectful and humble. The Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II has described the new Patriotic Party presidential candidate, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, as a humble and respectful person. According to the Asante monarch, despite occupying the revered vice presidential seat for nearly 8 years, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia hasn't changed as he is still humble and respectful. The Asantehene has therefore admonished the MPP presidential candidate to continue to remain humble and respectful to all manner of people whom he would have an encounter with. I know you, quote, I know you have not changed, and I will urge you to continue to be humble and respectful to all manner of people you will come your way as you explain your vision to transform Ghana to them, end of quote. He said, Otumfuo made the comments when Dr. Bawumia led his campaign team and other MPP members to pay a courtesy call on the Asantehene at the Menchia Palace in Kumasi, and on and on and on and on. Dr. Bawumia's competence. The Asantehene also stated that he knows that Dr. Bawumia has what it takes to lead the country as president, but he was quick to advise him to work hard towards his dream. I know very well, and I quote, I know very well, and I know you can work hard as president, Otumfuo pointed out, and added that I will pray for you, reiterating that Dr. Bawumia should explain his policies to the citizenry. You have disclosed your vision to transform Ghana to me here today, and I would encourage you to visit the nook and cranny of the country and thoroughly explain your vision to the people, he said. He said President Akufo-Addo saw something special in Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, so he appointed him as running mate and eventually vice president, and that alone shows the competence of Dr. Bawumia. Otumfuo also urged Dr. Bawumia to let the people know what the present NPP administration could not do and tell them what your plans are, and on and on. I think it's a very long story, but that is what the Daily Guide has to say.
Okay, so too quick, you spoke about...
The NDC.
Yes, show business model, and then you spoke about... let's go to the front page. I just want to take a look at that. NDC kicks against free SHS bill. Would you like to talk a bit more about that? Because yesterday, for example, we had a discussion, a full-scale discussion on that. Professor Toku of the UCC, among others, joined the conversation. And people are asking the question, why now? I don't know whether you're aware, but technically, the technical people will tell you that there's no official policy framework for free SHS. That is one. You've been told time without number to review free SHS because in its current state, no one says, mind you, the bottom line is that education is good. And if it is free, even better. No one is countering that. I believe Angel Kabonu made mention of that no one is contesting that or even its legality because it has its foundation from the Constitution. But there's no proper policy framework. You enter an agreement with the IMF, they are running your program, and you tell them, per your own discourse, that you're going to review and rationalize. You've not done that. You've not done any of that. Now you come saying you are presenting a bill, like Professor Tuku asked yesterday. Are you presenting a bill on the former SSS or what the Constitution says, or on free SHS in its current form? Because that is the question that is being asked. But as usual, the Daily Guide captures it in a certain way. But the opposition has said that we are only refuting it on the basis of this. If the right things are done before it's presented to us, we'll go ahead with it. Your take?
I think that yesterday I followed the conversation on the floor of the House. I followed Clement Apak's conjecture about the fact that the minority side of Parliament is not entirely against free SHS. And our government as well has been able to implement free SHS to its barest admiration. I would disagree with you entirely that we do not have a policy framework as it is, because there's no way we would have been able to implement such an admired and adored policy if there's no policy framework of that nature.
I am telling you from the discussion we had yesterday, and if you have any contrary evidence, I would give you time. In the coming days, I can't say now, it would not be fair.
Absolutely.
In the coming days, provide that. We had Peter Nochu Kotwe, you know him?
I do.
Ranking member on the Education Committee. He told us that as far as he is concerned, ranking member on education, they don't have it. Other members, in fact, Professor Toku and others also mentioned, there's nothing like that. So I don't know where
Benjamin,
you think...
No, you see, Benjamin, I find it very strange for a government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to implement a policy of free SHS and not have a policy document. It's not possible.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm going to...
Because if you look, there was a free SHS secretariat that was set up at the time when Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh was Minister for Education. Okay. There is no way we would implement a free SHS policy, as we have done from 2017 to date, have thousands and millions of young people benefit from that policy. Going to school for free. Government has taken the cost of that, and there is no policy document. It's not possible.
I was stunned too, but they point to ad hoc measures by which they have been running. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll not belabor the point. I double dare you, if you find a complete document, policy framework, concrete policy framework on free SHS, share it with us.
I would, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on it. But I think that it's clear to state that as a new patriotic party and even as a government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, some policies that we campaign on now becomes a civic responsibility of the Ghanaian people, which is why the legislative arm of government needs to relook at a number of bills that come across. And I think that is the framework that we want to see that is amended, and also we want to see that it comes into a bill and then finally into a law. So other governments that would come would not want to move it away from their policy direction as it relates to the education. Education is not something that we can continually play politics with because it's the bedrock of the future of this country. And I think that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo saw it right to give equity and opportunity to many young people who otherwise would finish junior high school and not have an opportunity to further on their education. That has become a thing of the past under the leadership of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And we commend that. I can agree and appreciate that there are various dimensions that the Ghanaian people would have wished that we look at as it relates to free SHS in terms of those that can afford it, affordability, and those that cannot afford it. So at least we can be able to save some aspects of government spending and coffers. But we can't lose sight of the fact that there are many more people who would not have ordinarily benefited from free SHS that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has made that a possibility.
Quantitatively, everybody would say that yes. Qualitatively, I don't know. The products, the other day in-house, we were reflecting on some recordings we had out there with some students at the secondary level. I am now beginning to understand why my friends who are lecturers at the tertiary level keep complaining about the standards. And I feel, you see, no one is against education that is free. But if the products we are putting out there don't meet a certain pedigree, mind you, these people are not just going to be competing in Ghana. We don't want them to be local champions. Me, I'm not touting myself. I've been to different parts of the world. Everywhere I go, I compete fairly. And I ace it in many ways. How many of such students here, okay, can do that on a global level? Some of them it is. And I've actually lectured in some of these international schools. Trust me, their standards versus ours, I don't know where we are headed. But we owe so much. Free SHS, a lot of them are hungry. Okay? Some are without bunk beds. Buffer stock, what's the situation? WAEC is old money. They need. Is this the kind of education we want? Then you look at the fact that, listen, F cube constitutionally, apart from the basic level, there's supposed to be continuity. Nkrumah started something of the sort, even to the tertiary level. That's how I have uncles who studied in Germany, Russia, and all of that. Back then, there were systems in place, scholarships, and all of that. But while I can agree partly with everything that is being said, I don't know about hanging this around the neck of everybody. But I'm saying, if we want to do this, then things that the NDPC, the National Development Planning Commission, is always crying about. For example, abandoned projects. We should legislate on some of those things too. So that you can't come, though the Constitution touches on it, the MPP, NDC, you are not following it. So that if you come, then those are also legislated. You can't avoid doing them, like we've done to Saglemi, like we did to that housing project before started, like we've done with some roads and all of that, like we've done with the e-blocks. Just my thinking, but let's get on to others.
No, Benjamin, just to state that the products of free SHS is very credible because in recent times, some part of last year, there were some students from either Prempeh or Pokuwari who competed in a global event and won some awards and brought back to Ghana. I recall that a statement was released from the Ministry of Education as it relates to that. It's not a failure entirely. There are good products that have come, and I think that if you look at the products, it far outweighs those that you would think that are not meeting up to the cutting edge of what is happening in the various tertiary universities. And we have made free SHS in a way where now there are STEM education. So we have the science, we have the technology.
Let's not say now.
Oh, no, but there's a focus. It's been there. But Benjamin,
there's a certain drive, but let's not act like now.
There's a clear focus. No, okay, Benjamin, there's a clear focus, okay?
Right.
And an emphasis of science, engineering, technology, and mathematics to make sure that you're growing young people who are focused in this area, and you're having that fried fat from kindergarten all the way through to tertiary levels. That was not something that existed. And then also you've seen the level of technology that we have brought into the various schools. Now they have touch screens in their classrooms that they are using to teach themselves. The laboratories as well are there. There are those that are doing drones, those that are doing helicopters. So entirely, if you look at all of what is happening within the educational space, you can give a tap and a back at President.
Well, no one is saying you can't give any credit at all. No one does something without any credit.
Very much.
I mean, the education minister, I know, for example, that I think in his constituency, he sponsors some students for engineering and all of that. He's done that for years. Kudos to him for that. There has been a focus on STEM. All I'm saying is don't make it seem like it's a now thing. It's always been there. It's not now.
But it's a clear focus.
But there's an enhancement.
Yes, then a clear focus.
Let's get into other stories.
So in other stories.
Are you done with the Daily Guide?
Well, yes, I think I'm done with the Daily Guide.
Okay, then let's do the new Finder newspaper.
So the Finder newspaper, inflation has dropped to 23.1% according to Professor Samuel Enim. I like your smile. Ghana Official Creditor Committee agreed debt relief reforms. IEA reiterate calls for independent fiscal council. So maybe we can go into the inflation on page 5. So the year-on-year inflation rate fell for the second consecutive month to 23.1% in May 2024 from 25% in April 2024. This rate is the lowest the country has recorded in the last 26 months, with food inflation contributing significantly to the overall decline. Food inflation decreased to 22.6% from 26.8% in April 2024. We have seen for the second consecutive time a drop in the year-on inflation by 1.9 percentage point to the current year-on inflation for May 2024, standing at 23.1%. Professor Samuel Kobina Enim, Government Statistician, speaking at the release of the Consumer Price Index for May 2024 in Accra, he explained that the prices for goods and services between May 2023 and May 2024 increased by 23.1%. The CPI measures the changes in the price of a fixed basket of goods and services purchased by household, with the assumption that any price change on a month-on-month basis affects the total price of the basket. This indicates a slowdown of 1.9 percentage points relative to the year-on-year inflation recorded in April 2024, the government statistician explained. On a year-on-year basis, the 23.1% recorded for May 2024 is the lowest rate of inflation recorded in the last 26 months. He said, between March and May 2024, there was a decline from 25.8% in March to 25% in April, before the further decline to 23.1% in May 2024. Providing a disaggregation, Professor Enim stated that there was a 1% point difference between the food and non-food inflation, with the food inflation at 22.6% and the non-food inflation at 23.6%. This is the second consecutive time we have seen a drop in food inflation. In March, food inflation stood at 29.6%, declining to 26.8%, and for the second time in a row, it further declined to 4.2% point to 22.6% in May 2024, he said. So I mean, there's a lot of
we don't have to read the entirety of the story, but
basically,
I'm just going to ask you this.
I think that basically he's just commending what government is doing.
Yeah.
The reality.
I mean, we hit 54%. We came to the low 20s. Then it shot up again to 25, and we're coming back. I just have an interesting question for you. Do you go to market?
I do.
You do?
At Chimota Market.
Do you know the cost of a tomato?
I do.
How much is it?
So you see.
No. Let's not do. We'll get to the UC part. Just answer my question. How much is the cost of one tomato?
One. Oh, but they don't sell one tomatoes. Benjamin.
You don't go to the market.
Benjamin. They don't sell. They put it together.
Even in Takrady.
No, they put it together.
No, I'm telling you.
But they put it together and
they are selling one tomato for 5 cedis. The least you will get today.
Sometimes you get
one tomato for 4 cedis.
2 cedis.
2
cedis, 50 pesos.
Where?
At Chimota Market.
I wish we could reach out to our friends at the Achimota Market.
Achimota Market.
And well, maybe it may depend on the size.
That is what I'm telling you. That is what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. Even plantain. No, you see, I know that prices are high at some places that you go to. Right. I go to the market at 4 a.m. When you go to the market at 4 a.m., you get the prices very, very affordable.
First bus.
Even sometimes you can go at 3 a.m. Sometimes I go to Doboro, sometimes I go to Achimota, sometimes I go to Domi. I buy my plantains from Domi. I buy my onions from Doboro. I buy my chicken from Achimota.
So before we get to the pricing again, Paul Gregwachidankwa is saying that if you want to, wake up at 4 a.m. and go to market. And then yes, sir.
And that is all. Go 4 to 4 a.m. That's what my mother taught me. 4 a.m. You can get. I think
this will make an interesting headline.
Nice.
Paul Gregwachidankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security, go to market at 4 a.m. to get good prices.
And fresh goods. Then you get nice.
I mean, you remind me of a time I would go to Agbogboloshi very early. But the point is, let's face it, the cost of living is outrageous, and the cost of food itself. I know you've followed some of what we've done here. I don't need to belabor the point. There are people who say, "Oh, I know this." There's this Nana Prempeh. I don't know how to call him, but he's obviously enamored with your party and can't see beyond your party. So whenever I'm doing something, he'll be sending in messages. The last time we were saying that a box of tomatoes has moved from 1,500 cedis in January last year to 7,000. He was saying 6,000 and the rest. But the cost of basic items, plantain, cassava, for those who love fufu. I don't eat it, so I'm safe from that. Even corn dough, oil, your zomi, and the rest. It is outrageous. As for fish, don't go there. You don't want to touch fish. You have to manage your... And I hear an egg is now what? In some places, 4 cedis. But...
For one egg or the crate of egg?
4 cedis for a crate of eggs. Paul Grave, which universe do you live in?
No. But you see, you buy the crate of egg. Sometimes you see when you buy the crate of egg, it's cheaper than buying one.
I have one Prince Atakra saying 1 tomato is 5 Ghana cedis. I don't know where you buy, but anyway, maybe I'll try the Dawn thing.
Yes, it works, Benjamin. It really does.
And see whether anyway. But let's get into other stories. As for this bit about inflation and I don't know, but okay. So I have a message from Isaac Azombo, but it's not pleasant. I'll not read it because he disagrees with it vehemently, and he says Achimota market is one of the most expensive markets in Accra. But Isaac, I will ask you, do you go there at 4 a.m.? Because that is the advice of Paul Gregwachidankwa. Go there at 4 a.m. And if you don't get it at 2 cedis or something, please, next time I'm doing the news review, come and let me know. But Nana Prempeh, I see you've been sending in a lot of messages from time to time. Careful you don't develop blood pressure issues, though, because me, the way I am is the way I am. Very thick skin, and I speak my mind, and I will not change. I was, I am, I will be. So you might have to reflect, else your blood pressure will me. Anyway, let's get into other stories before we leave you, and then I will do my stack of papers.
Well, yes. So I think that, Benjamin, I mean, a lot more is going on in the new patriotic party. Our flag bearer, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, proposes Ghana's next chapter.
Right.
This is what he launched in February.
Which chapter is that? Chapter 1 or chapter 2?
Oh, the next chapter of Ghana.
No, which chapter?
The next chapter of Ghana.
Which chapter?
After President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay. So which chapter are we in now?
No, the next chapter of Ghana. We are in the leadership of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Okay. And the next chapter of Ghana under the leadership.
The next chapter is where the vice president gets the steering, right?
Well, the next chapter is where the vice president constitutionally is sworn in as the president of the Republic of Ghana. The executive, to lead the executive arm of government. That's the next chapter. And we've done our first round of 16 regions. We are certain that in the shortest possible time, we're going to roll out our manifesto. We'll also roll out the announcement of our running mate, and then we'll roll out our door-to-door, constituency by constituency campaign. I'll tell you one truth. The 2024 general election, our political party, the New Patriotic Party, under the leadership of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we're going to campaign 5 times harder than the opposition party. And I mean, no doubt in my mind that the digital drive, the digital agenda that we have set in place, the addressing system that we have put in place, the the passport office that is online, the motor insurance that you can check online, the DVLA that we have digitalized, the birth and death that one child that is born would have a unique identifiable number from birth to death. The internal Ghana.gov.
I get the bit. Digital Bawumia.
Digital Bawumia.
Yeah.
Improving the livelihood of Ghanaians through digitalization and ensuring that the 4th industrial revolution, which is digitalization, becomes the drive.
I get the point. I
you
get
and
the point.
I mean, live in a country
I know for all of you who are
accessible,
who are hoping to transition into a Bawumia government, you come on our shows and you are very articulate. I get that. I think you've done your job.
It's still a new patriotic party
on the digital
platform.
Yes. Hopefully, you guys can also do something more on the economic platform, especially with where Ghanaians. Do you know how much every Ghanaian owes currently? If we divide our debt, you know how much we owe.
If you divide your
I
debt,
asked you a simple question.
No, hold on.
How much
hold on. Are you dividing your debt by the working class of Ghanaians or by the population of Ghana? Because if you look at the population of Ghana, it's increased by an extra 2 million people. That's about 34 million. If you divide your debt and you are looking at my 2-year-old daughter, you can't give a bill to my 2-year-old daughter who does not work. So I'm dividing it by the 17 million people that are voting, or I'm dividing it by the working class of the people. You have to put the mathematics together. I know you and I, one day we need to go and do a mathematics competition. Because, I taught mathematics when I was in my school.
I see.
Maths and commerce.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I believe you're done.
Yes. I mean, I just want to be able to present the candidature of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud.
I think you've done that. So let's get into other papers. If there's more time, then we'll get into that.
Absolutely.
Daily Graphic, purge toxic political space. Afenyo Markin urges media. Who is to purge it when you yourselves have fostered it? I say that it takes one person to come, who is leader of this country, and say, I'm not going to go down this road of this and that, and then some things will change. But when you're doing it and you say, don't do it, who is going to? But the story says, the majority leader in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo Markin, has called on the media to throw their weight behind national efforts to detoxify the unhealthy political atmosphere in the country to aid the cause of democracy. You people, or you create them, who make it detoxify them? Anyway, he said the present environment was too toxic, especially in an election year, stressing that the media must prompt politicians to be mindful of pronouncements that undermine peace and stability. He says, quoting him, if we do not get pinned to do the right thing, we may think that for the sake of votes, we should say whatever we want, and these do not help democracy, he said. Then, NHIA settles 300 million Ghana cedi claims. Let me quickly get into that story. It's on page 20 of the newspaper. Here we go. So the National Health Insurance Authority has disbursed over 300 million Ghana cedis as payment for claims to healthcare facilities across the country. The amount predominantly covers the payment of claims submitted by providers under the National Health Insurance Scheme and vetted for higher tier facilities up to January 2024. The acting chief executive officer of the NHIA, Dr. Da Costa Abuaji, made this known in a statement yesterday. He said for lower tier facilities, the payments were within the acceptable 3-month debt period, which is what he actually said to me when he was here on this very show. Government secures pact to suspend bilateral loan payment until 2026. It's about the latest tranche and the agreements in there. And on the back page, Ghana EU Commission road projects in Upper West region and modern biomedical waste incinerator installed for Noguchi. That's a good thing. Sometimes I feel places like the Noguchi Institute could do a lot more than it is. But anyway, let's keep hoping for the best. Let me just do some international stories. Senegal starts producing oil. And Senegal's president, I love Senegal and their new leadership. 2 very young people doing great things. Senegal's president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, has said profits from the sale of oil and gas will be well managed as the West African state started producing oil for the first time. It goes on. And then Malawi announces state funeral for vice president. So sad what happened to him. But let me ask you this, Paul Gray. We started proper oil production in 2010. Would you say oil has served Ghana as well as it could have in terms of, not in terms of having the resource, in terms of how we have managed it? People will speak about the Dutch disease and about so many things. I don't think we've got there, but have we benefited really from oil the way we should have?
Maybe not in the full complement of it. maybe not to the full complement of it. But you see, we acknowledge the fact that Ghana began oil production over the past 14 years now, and maybe not the full complement of it. But I mean, no doubt in my mind that as Ghanaians get very much interested in having blocks and investing more into oil and gas, we would get a full complement of it in the near future.
Okay. We pray for that. My only concern, some areas where by law we should even be putting some oil revenue, we don't put it and we end up spending it. Nigeria's President Tinubu falls over during ceremony. And Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has slipped and fallen over at an official event to mark 25 years of democracy in the country. The president, 72, fell as he climbed the steps on a vehicle which was supposed to take him around Eagle Square in the capital, Abuja. He had to be helped to get back to his feet. One of his aides described it as a, quote, mild misstep, and said the president had been able to continue with the rest of the program. Me, I'll always say this, and I tell you, I don't practice ageism, but I always say, it's like Mo Ibrahim. I'll never forget, it made me laugh. You can also check it out. He was at this function talking about African leadership at the time when you would have that Algerian president. What's his name? I'll try and get it. This man was in his 90s also in a wheelchair and had contested and was going to. This was around the time of, I think, the Jade Revolution, the Arab Spring.
Okay. And
then other presidents. I mean, look at Togo, for example, a place I go to pretty often. From Nyasingbe Yadema to Ford Nyasingbe. Look at the number of decades. Look at Equatorial Guinea. And then look at some of the ages. Like I said, not ageism, but fresh ideas percolating and stuff. Mo Ibrahim at that platform said, Africa keeps voting for some of these very old people, 70, 80, 90. Where are they taking us? To the grave? And everyone was laughing. But there's a solid point in there. What are the age requirements in the United States? We saw Obama, 40 what? What are the age requirements in France? We've seen Emmanuel Macron. We've seen Croatia, New Zealand. Not just women, very young women. I don't know, but I think that is one of our major problems in Ghana. Our leadership, and I'm saying it clearly, is too old.
Well, I think that it's I mean, even the Constitution says that from 40 you can stand as president in this country. But I think that over the years is the level of trust that we have not been able to give to young people to come into the helm of affairs in terms of leadership, and how sometimes when some young people are given the stairs of affairs of
leadership, that's the disappointing thing. Sometimes some of them mess it up.
They mismanage that. But I can agree with you that it's important that we have a shift, really, within our paradigm thinking in terms of ageism, because it does weigh a toll on you, because if you are old, your brain is not working as it was when you were young. I mean, even with studies and all of that. But I would say that Ghana will soon get there when we are able to reduce the level of ages of people we put in the helm of affairs of leadership. If we bring it down to 60s, very soon, people in their 50s can have an opportunity, and people in their 40s can have.
And hopefully we can have more women as well.
Absolutely.
One thing we are not doing well in this country is having enough women in leadership. Ethiopia,
I think
Tanzania.
President Akufo-Addo has done quite well on that. He's appointed a lot more women in his government, which is true. Very much true.
I don't even want to go there. Look at the number of DCs or MCs. Even recently, with the latest, some were creamed off. The numbers fell it became even worse. Look at our parliament. I mean, I think we need palpable measures, because other parliaments have 50%, some even 50% plus, the Ethiopians, the Tanzanians, and the rest. And we keep, offering lip service to women. And it happens everywhere. I mean, I'll be, even in media. Yes, even in media, do we have enough women at the very helm of affairs? But I also see that it must not just be, equality. It must be equity.
Equity, very much so.
And then the quality must also be
quality, there. Absolutely.
The benchmark will not change simply because
your agenda.
So there are those factors in there. But The Daily Statesman, I'm just reading the headlines and we're gone. Minister calls for heightened awareness in border areas. MPP faithful urged to stop pressurizing Baumia over a running mate. And Ghana secures landmark agreement with creditor committee. Final bit to you. When are we getting a running mate for Dr. Baumia?
Very soon.
Very soon. Very soon.
Very soon.
How soon is very soon?
Well, that's why I said
when he went to the Ashanti region, people felt he was going to announce it there.
Yes, I mean, people's thinking often projections of what we want to do. We always have a strategy. That is why I stated that we finished with our first round of 16 regions, which ended in a stronghold. Overwhelming numbers of people who have joined the campaign, including the Honorable Kennedy Japan, who massively loved by the grassroots of the New Patriotic Party. Once we are done, we're almost done with our manifesto, so I'm certain that the manifesto launch would be soon, and then also the announcement of the running mate would come through, and then we start with our one-on-one and door-to-door. But I'm certain that it will not cross beyond the month of June. I'm certain that it will happen very soon within this month.
The final thing I will do is just to acknowledge our very hard-working sports journalist, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. He's with the Joy Sports team. Today as well, he features on page 7 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. And, the senior national soccer team, the Black Stars, have won their recent 2 competitive matches. How can these victories be sustained to spark the team's revival? And Eli Kondo, or how we say it here, Eli Kondo, is a football pundit. Muftau Nabila and Theo Sampa of GTV. All of them shared their thoughts. So I'm going to take a photo of this and send it to Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. But speaking of which, do you have any final comments before we go?
No, well,
final thoughts?
I think that the final thoughts are that within the short time, Parliament is going to have the media review. You're aware that we're preparing for a media review, and government is continually working. Various sectors, ministers are working. President Akufo-Addo is fulfilling his promises that he's giving to the Ghanaian people. And we're in an election year, and so I would admonish all candidates from the MPP and from the NDC and other smaller political parties and running mates and flag bearers to be restrained with their comments, and also ensure that we have one Ghana, one people to serve, and one people to lead.
All right. Let me just celebrate a few people who are celebrating their birthdays today. Happy birthday to Pastor Joseph Akofo. He is the National Children's Ministry Leader of the Apostolic Church of Ghana and resident pastor of TAC Ghana, that is the Apostolic Church Ghana, Osu District. And your National Children's Ministry, they are celebrating you this morning. So happy birthday to you, Pastor Joseph Akofo. There are others. Let me quickly do them. So there's this one that says, happy birthday, Nadu Nate of GHHR Solutions. Nadu Nate of GHHR Solutions. May this special day of yours bring you joy and happiness, and your journey ahead be full of peace, blessings, prosperity, and endless love. And it's from the man I was celebrating a short while ago, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Happy birthday, Nadu Nate of GHHR Solutions. There are a few more. So this one says, happy birthday to the boss lady, Ama Domri Odro Tamaklo, CEO of Food 101 or 101. You're an amazing woman. I love you so much. From husband, Edem, kids, Sena, Aseye, and Sairam, and Zveva. Okay, I've never... and the entire Food 101 workers. Okay, so happy birthday to you, Ama Odro Tamaklo. Is there a final one? Okay, it's the same one I have already done. And if you're celebrating your birthday today, we celebrate you as well. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I've done this together with Paul Grave Boache Dankwa. He is government spokesperson on governance and security. Paul Grave, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Bukum Banku say a man can never be careful unless
he wears white.
You're in your white shirt. You've been careful
Thank you
this
so
morning.
much.
Before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helped us bring you this segment, and they are offering you, again, one more time, prostate screening if you're a man for free, fertility screening if you're a woman also for free. Reach out to them at any of their branches, starting with here in Accra, Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Chronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zema. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, but just the start of sports. Up next, you want to stay for that.